Warning, this video may contain spoilers for late parts in the game. If you plan on playing this at some point, turn back now. You have been warned. Hello everyone, today I have a type of game that I usually don't enjoy too much, but looked pretty cool and was only $7 during the Golden Week sale, so I couldn't pass up the opportunity to play a remastered version of a game I heard some praise for. I'm not a big fan of tank controls. I haven't really played too far into the first Resident Evil because of this, though when done right, or just having the time to get more of a hang on the controls like Metal Gear, it can be pretty fun and make some moments feel a lot more tense, and this game did a really good job on that. And I feel like it's going to be giving me that push to finally get into the Resident Evil series, funnily enough. Let's get to the basics. You play the game as a man named Samanosuke who starts out with just a katana, but near the beginning of the game he gets a demon gauntlet that allows him to use demon powers against demons. The main part to this is upon slaying demons, you can steal their energy by holding the circle button, but if your attack mid-suck, you only have a couple seconds to either get away and re-suck or slay the demon and suck before the energy disappears. There are 3 types of energy, being health to heal you, power for your special attack gauge, and a general energy that lets you level up your weapons, elements, and items. Throughout the game you gain 3 demonic weapons, Ryzen, Anryu, and Shippu. These can be upgraded at the various save points you find up to level 3. When you get these weapons, you also receive corresponding elements which you can get also to level 3. For the items, you have your standard health herbs which can be upgraded to medicine, arrows which can be upgraded to fire arrows, and bullets which can be upgraded into explosive burst bullets. That might have spoiled a small bit, but yes, you also receive a bow and a gun, though these cannot be upgraded and are mostly used for hard to reach enemies, though the burst bullets are good for most situations. Lastly, you can find a couple different kinds of armor in chests, usually being better than the last, but there are very few. In the game, there are many puzzles and traps that I fell victim to, though none are particularly very hard. You will have to do most, if not all of them, to complete the game, so be prepared for that. Every so often you end up switching from playing as Samanosuke to playing as his assistant, Kaede, who has her own things to work with weapon-wise, even being able to find one better weapon. The big downside to this is that she solely relies on items to heal her, as she can't absorb health. Near the end, a weird bug kind of guy will allow you to enter the demon realm to farm monsters, but there isn't much point besides trophies, as if you get damaged, you don't get healed, and the save points won't heal you either. This entire story revolves around the death of Nobunaga during a battle of Okahazama in 1560. A year later, a man named Samanosuke receives a letter from Princess Yuki explaining that her maids and servants have been disappearing, suspecting monsters to be the cause. Samanosuke and his assistant Kaede arrive too late as Yuki is nowhere to be found. The two decide to split up, with Samanosuke encountering the demons called Genma with Yuki. He tries to get her back but is completely overpowered by a demon named Osric, leaving him unconscious. He is then visited by 12 Oni, who give him a gauntlet with the power to destroy the Genma, as well as to absorb and seal their souls inside of it. As he ventures on, he eventually kills Osric and meets another Genma named Guildenstern, who says he has resurrected Nobunaga and has sworn his allegiance to the Genma. Samanosuke later meets Tokichiro, who is chasing a boy. Tokichiro asks Samanosuke to join the Oda clan, Nobunaga's, but he declines. Shortly after this, he meets up with Kaede, who is now with the same boy from earlier. They learn his name is Yumimaru, though later learning that he was an orphan and raised by Yuki as a little brother. Yumimaru runs away and Samanosuke locates him on the roof, having to fight a Genma named Marcellus. He gives Yumimaru to Kaede and he goes off to look for Yuki again, encountering Tokichiro, who asks Samanosuke to join him. Upon another refusal, Tokichiro sets off a trap that pulls him into the ground. This sets off a chain reaction of Kaede being cornered by a lookalike of Samanosuke, who knocks her out, while a woman takes Yumimaru. Kaede wakes up and somehow manages to find Yuki in a cell that she can't unlock. Samanosuke wakes up and fights his clone, winning and racing to where he left Yumimaru, though finding the girl who kidnapped him. She reveals her true form as a Genma and creates a giant door to the demon world, entering with Yumimaru, but a barrier prevents Samanosuke from entering. He finds some things that will allow him to open the door, but he ends up coming in contact with the female Genma, again named Hekiba, and kills her, but not before she reveals that their plan is to kill Yumimaru in front of Yuki in order to heighten her sorrow for when they sacrifice her to Nobunaga, as this will increase his power. Kaede meets up with him and the two are able to enter the demon door, meeting Guildenstern one last time, who summons another Genma, which Samanosuke defeats while Guildenstern flees. They head forward, finding Yuki and Yumimaru before they are confronted by the demon enacting the ritual named Fortinbras. After an intense battle, Samanosuke seemingly fells the demon and they are able to free the two as the room begins to crumble. At the last second, Fortinbras awakens and grabs Samanosuke. He convinces the others to leave without him, and Fortinbras begins to crush him. Blood getting onto the gauntlet and turning Samanosuke into an Oni who obliterates Fortinbras. He turns back into a human and sees Nobunaga, and the game ends with Yuki and Yumimaru deciding to travel the world, and Kaede forever trying to locate the whereabouts of Samanosuke, but never finding him, sadly dying in a war years later. This game was a lot of fun while it lasted. I only played on normal difficulty, and the game was still sufficiently difficult and wasn't just a walk in the park to get through, especially with all the puzzles and traps strewn throughout the game. I was surprised to find myself liking the tank controls akin to Silent Hill, though I relatively liked those controls as well. It was just interesting to find a game like Resident Evil, but swinging swords and using magic against demons. Wait a second, isn't that Devil May Cry? Funnily enough, a bug in this game actually inspired Hideki Kamiya to make that game in the first place. I also enjoyed the bosses being challenging and making me have to use all my skills and high reflexes for guarding. My biggest con is that, like Resident Evil, it's a pretty short game. I managed to beat it on normal in around 3 to 4 hours, but in general this works well for the story to be short and sweet. The lack of healing items near the end made the game a bit difficult, but in the long run it made me appreciate item management more, as well as forcing me to learn and appreciate the combat. I definitely wouldn't survive on the unlockable expert mode, but that's what it's there for. This was a pretty unique game for me, as like I said, these aren't really my cup of tea all that much in the movement department, but I think it's a bit easier to appreciate what they were going for and how it was supposed to make you assess your surroundings a bit more and how you actually go about treating these situations with limited movement, though actually feeling very fluid in story and in gameplay. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next video.